All right, Detroit, get ready. Our first guest on the Detroit ByCycle podcast, our first in-house guest, is a legend. I think collectively we are very proud to have him here today.
Oh, there's no question. No question whatsoever, man. This is a huge score. It's great for the show.
So
I'm going to have to pay you guys each $20.
You better get in here, Bobby.
Right.
Yes.
So just to give you a short list of some of the accomplishments, this gentleman has produced, built, and ran the Velodrome in the Olympics of 1996, 2002, 2008. He also built the Velodrome in the Pan American Games in 2016, as well as the Commonwealth Games in 2010. But most of you will know him more familiar with being a homeboy, born in Michigan.
Yeah, he's from Southeast Michigan, man. It's awesome.
Yep. So that makes it even that much sweeter. And he has just recently completed, just over a year ago, his second velodrome here in Detroit. It's the Lexus Velodrome, with the first one being in Bloomer Park. But we're here to talk about the magnificent facility of the Lexus Velodrome.
It's amazing, man.
It's
absolutely
it's fantastic.
It's stunning.
And if you haven't guessed who is in the house by now, let us introduce you to Mr. Dale Hughes.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the accountable. Dale Hughes in the house, guys.
Well, thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks for coming in, man. We're very proud to have you.
So, Dale just celebrated his year anniversary for the opening of the Velodrome, just a few weeks ago, was it?
Correct.
Yeah. And, just a little background for you all that don't know. The Velodrome is a cycling fitness facility, that is brought to you by the Detroit Fitness Foundation. It's located right off of the 75 and the Warren exit.
Mac
Avenue.
I'm sorry.
That's the Tolan Playfield.
Yes, Tolan Playfield.
Yeah, the Eddie Tolan Playfield.
Yeah, Mac
right
Avenue
there.
exit. Yes. And fantastic. You brought up the name of the field, the Tolan Field.
Right.
Dale, before we get into you about yourself, please describe Tolan Field, why the name, and why the significance of that facility being there.
Well, Tolan Playfield is located right there at Mac Avenue, right at I-75, on the, what is that? It's on the
northeast or northwest corner.
Yeah, northwest corner.
Right.
It's about 9 acres. It was called, I think, Crockett Field for quite a few years.
Yep.
But in 1932, there was a young Detroiter. His name was Eddie Tolan. And in the 1932 Olympic Games, he won 2 gold medals in running. And he came back to Detroit and was a coach and a teacher. His coaching was mainly, I think, in football. Of course, Detroit's got such a history in football, so that makes sense.
Yes, they do.
And then in 1968, the city council renamed the park after him, so it's called Tolan Playfield. He was actually Jesse Owens' hero.
No kidding.
Nice. And he was known as being a very peculiar kind of a runner. He had short legs, and most of the runners were taller, and he wore these big glasses. Thick glasses, and everybody said, "How could he run so fast?" But he was a blazing fast runner.
Yeah, right. He went to Cass Tech too.
Yes, he did.
Right, in the University of Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
And the fact that we're continuing the history of the city with the location of the Velodrome is pretty amazing to me. Would you care to elaborate on the facility and what exactly you do there?
Well, the Lexus Velodrome is an air structure. It is 64,000 square feet inside.
Wow. Okay.
We have what we call 3 fields of play. Mm-hmm. We have a 8th mile 4-lane running track that we use for running, inline skating, quad skating. We use it for health fairs and displays. One of the things we're part of our mission statement is to really provide programming for seniors. So we have Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have free walking program for seniors from 9 to 11.
That's
so we
awesome.
Get we get 100 to 200 seniors that come there every Tuesday and Thursday to walk in the mornings.
Right on.
We've got the good music blaring, mainly Motown, because that's the era of a lot of those folks. I guess my era. I think they're having a good time. The seniors have a lot of places to walk out in the suburbs because they've got the malls, although those are disappearing.
They are.
But in the city, there is no mall. But now they have the Lexus Velodrome to be able to walk
That's
in.
pretty sweet to hear.
So we also have used on those running lanes, we call it the ET Oval. After Eddie Tolan.
Eddie Tolan.
Cool. We have a little bike polo area right over there. We also have a
silky.
On Tuesday nights we have disc golf guys and gals coming in throwing disc golf on Tuesday nights.
This is on the interior?
No, this is on the on one of the corners of the running track.
No kidding. All right. Okay.
So we like them. They have a beer or two afterwards. Which,
not the disc golfers, man. They never
helps pay the bills.
Of course.
Right,
so that's the one facility. Then we have a 1,200 square foot fitness studio. So we have the bamboo floors and the mirrors and all the equipment, and everything. So we've got a great instructor, Nakia Gaither, who runs the fitness classes there. So we have 3 or 4 fitness classes going every day. And then, of course, we have the world-class Olympic-style velodrome, which is, you're right, is a cycling track. That is 1/10 of a mile. Actually, it's a 166 meter because everything is European-based as far as measurement goes. But that's about 1/10 of a mile. So you do 10 laps at the bottom of the track, which is the racing area, and you've done 1 mile.
Okay.
So
it only takes me about 7 minutes to do that. When I first started going out there, all I could hear it would be quiet, it'd be crickets because I was there like in the middle of the day, and all you'd hear is Dale. Pick it up, Bruno. You're going to fall off the track.
Well, you do have to go that minimum speed about 15, 16 miles an hour to stay on the banking. The banking is 15 degrees in the straights and it's 50 degrees in the turns.
Amazing.
50 degrees.
We got to what we're at now, but we want to learn how you got to where you are today.
Well, let's see. I was a typical guy, born in Holland Park. My parents moved out in the early 60s out to farmland out in Rochester, went to Rochester High School, graduated from Oakland University. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. Had a degree in business. Was working underground, putting in fire hydrants and stuff like that. My sister went over to school, over to Germany to learn in her final year of college, she was going to become a German language teacher. So she wanted to spend a year in Germany to learn the language really right. So I went and visited her, saw a bike race for my first time, came back home and said to my dad, hey, I knew that he had $9,000 saved, and I said, Dad, can you loan me $9,000?
You just picked a random number, like, I don't know. Let me see.
And I had a guy next door, a young man next door to me, my neighbor, and he didn't go to college and wasn't sure what he was doing. I says, well, go ask your dad for $9,000. And I says, we'll be 50-50 partners. So I opened up a bike shop out in Rochester. This was in 1972 or so.
What was it called?
It was called Dale and Dave Citation Cycles.
Wow. So you saved a little money on the marketing.
So we were there a couple years, and then I had met a world-class coach based out of here in Royal Oak. His name is Mike Walden. And Mike Walden was a world-class coach. He coached about 125 national champions here in Detroit.
Oh, man. Okay.
Wow. He built the velodrome that's out at Mound and Outer Drive. That's sort of the remnants are still there.
Yes.
Right.
Held the national championships there, and he asked me, hey, can you help me out at the event? I helped him out on the event. And about a year later, I went and met with him again and said, I'm not sure I want to stay in retail. What could I do? And he said, well, build a velodrome. And I says, okay, I really don't know anything about that. And he says, well, figure it out. So myself and 3 other young guys sort of pooled all our monies, and we just started building a track. We built it to size to fit inside the hockey boards of an arena.
Oh, cool.
Our concept was to be able to take it from all the arenas, and we could put this velodrome up in 24 hours, take it down in 9 hours. We had 3 trailers that we had it stored in, and we had our own tractor so we could drive anywhere we wanted to.
Nice.
We did races all over the country. got a call from Universal Studios one day, and they wanted to do a remake of an old Shirley Temple movie called Little Miss Marker. And it was the one that made Shirley Temple famous. So they were doing a national search for the new Shirley Temple. I think her name was Sarah, I can't remember the last name, cute little girl. But anyways, they wanted in the original script, in the original movie, they didn't have the bicycle scene in it, the track scene in it, but in the original script they did. And this director wanted to go back to the original script, and it was great cast: Walter Matthau, Julie Andrews, Tony Curtis, Bob Newhart. We were out in California. We all had long hair, and we went in there, and part of the deal I made was that we could also be extras in the movie, so we could make a little bit more money.
Nice.
But they had to.
I appreciate the hustle.
Yeah.
Come on, I appreciate the hustle.
So they cut our hair off just above the ear like a bowl. Today it would be probably pretty hip, but back then it was like you really need to be in maybe
shots fired. Shots fired.
Maybe you need to be in that mental hospital guy. So we all had hats, and we had to wear hats all the rest of the time till our hair grew up. But we were a 1 minute scene. So we traveled around the country with that portable track. Came back here to Detroit. We parted ways with my partners. I was doing all the work, and I always saw three other hands sticking out when we had any money, so I had enough of that.
Yeah.
So then the other guys were in charge of the track, and I'm the only person in the world, and this one is the only person in the world that has ever had a velodrome stolen.
Yeah, I read about this, and I heard about it from your son. In all honesty, I mean, I know John, and I've known John a long time, and he told me that story, and I was like,
Truck thieves hot-wired the tractor and drove off with the 3 trailers, and we were young guys, had no insurance, so that was it. So. To shorten the story,
but you bounced back, man. Let's talk about the bounce back. Let's talk about the Detroitness.
Then I put on a lot of criteriums. Did a series for 11 years called the Tour de Michigan. It was part of Michigan's 150th birthday, the sesquicentennial. Wow. Really proud of myself. I said it.
You got that.
We could edit that actually if you needed to. So go ahead and
But over 11 years, we gave out about $400,000 in prizes. We gave away 8 cars, 2 trucks, and 6 cars. Yeah. I had a race in downtown Birmingham where I gave away 2 trucks.
Awesome.
In a missing out, in an elimination race.
Oh, right.
So that was fun. So I did that for 11 years. And then, 1995, I got a call from the Olympic Committee that said, we're looking to build, the track for the Olympic Games in Atlanta, and we'd like to have an American builder. Would you be interested? And I said, of course, yes.
Did they meet you by then? Had they met you before that?
No, okay,
that explains some things.
I'd taken this portable track around, so a lot of people within the National Federation knew who I was.
Right, that's cool.
So then that sort of gave me my international credentials.
Nice.
And so then I built it. You sort of misrepresented. I've only built for 1 Olympic Games. I built for 2 Asian Games, one in Korea, one in Qatar. I did the Commonwealth Games in India. I'm building one now in Tel Aviv.
Wow.
In fact, I was on the phone today with Tel Aviv. We're just wrapping that one up, and I'm finishing one up in Peru, in Lima, Peru, for the Pan Am Games this summer.
Crazy. So that's a lifestyle, man. Like we're just doing a podcast because we like cycling. This man has turned in his entire his life, his career is in cycling.
Well, I have a couple of the old guys that I knew way back when that were friends of Mike Walden. Who Mike Walden ended up having a daughter that I met, but didn't met her for a few years, and I ended up marrying her.
Right. Hey, that's that coach he was talking about. When he was talking about that coach, he left that part out. I didn't want to get in there. But it's all good. It's like I heard that coach had really beautiful daughters.
So the lineage is thick then with John.
Right.
Got it on both sides.
Yeah, my sons are doing good. I got 3 boys.
Right.
One's a flight attendant and teacher for Delta Airlines. Christopher is a teacher a phys ed teacher at Country Day.
Goodness.
And then John's my oldest, and of course he's got the downtown Ferndale bike shop and the downtown Detroit bike shop.
Yes.
Right. Which if you haven't been there, man, go in there. They got some of everything.
Yes.
It's a different kind of a bike shop. It's not your typical Trek or Specialized factory store.
Right. It's not gonna. There's not gonna be like.
There's no prim and prim and what's the right word?
There's not gonna be a lot of factory posters, and there will be some dogs in there. They don't bite. They're really cool. So
there could be some grease on the floor.
A little bit.
And a chewed up tube.
Chewed up tube from the dogs.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing I think that's happened to me is I traveled around the world. Certainly have enjoyed those kind of experiences, but you really don't appreciate what we have here in the United States of what our rights are. I've done stuff in Kazakhstan. I built the track, and you're dealing with basically Russian mafia. Built one in Sri Lanka.
Oligarch track.
Well, it was tough. I had a partner who does the construction, the carpentry, and basically we had to play good cop, bad cop. They wouldn't let me back in, and I was the bad cop because they weren't paying us. He was the good cop because he was there and trying to finish the job, but they wouldn't pay us. And so the guy our crew was finished, and he was leaving the hotel, and the hotel guy says, "You haven't paid your bill," and he says, "No, the general contractor's paying that." He says, "Well, he hasn't," and he says, "Well, what if I leave here?" He says, "If you leave right now, I can guarantee you I'm going to call the police and you won't get to the airport." So my partner said, "Okay, what's the deal here?" And he says, "Well, the general contractor says, here, you sign this piece of paper and we'll pay the hotel and it'll be no problem." And he looks at the paper and says, "Oh, well, it says that we're paid in full, even though you still owe about $250,000 worth of all the material." So he said, "I'm not signing that." And he says, "Well, then you're not leaving."
Oh, man.
So my guy says, "Well, give me a minute." And he went out of the room and called one of his workers, who was this huge German, about 6'8", and about
I guess if you got to know one.
Right.
And he says, "Go get the chainsaw and go over to the track." And he says, "And if you don't hear from me within the next 10 minutes, just start cutting it up." So he went back to the guy, the general contractor, and the contractor says, "So you decide to sign this?" He said, "No, I'm not going to sign this." And he says, "Well, then you're not leaving." He says, "Well, I think I am." He says, "Because if I don't call my guy over there in another 8 minutes," he says, "he's got a chainsaw and he's cutting up that track."
Oh, man.
So they paid the whole hotel bill. They got out of the country.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's an exclusive.
Right.
You're not gonna get that on too many podcasts, bro. For real.
I was building one. I met the president of Sri Lanka. Pretty cool, meeting a president of a country. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
So working with this other contractor there, and he was a very nice man, and he was sort of on my side, and we were dealing with the president sort of like his right-hand man, it seemed like. And so we were building this thing, and this guy was not a friendly guy, and he says to me, you know, "You're not working fast enough. You're not getting it done fast enough." I says, "Come on here. You gotta give me a break here." So basically, I find out that he's actually the arms, the guy that buys arms under,
Dealer.
He's the arms dealer for the president because they had a little war going on.
Oh, man.
And I got out of that country too.
Yeah.
So going back to saying we have unbelievable rights here, like even in Germany or Europe, you're sort of really guilty and you have to prove your innocence. So we really, people don't really realize, even though, our system isn't perfect.
Sure.
And it's turned a lot of people in jail that probably shouldn't be in jail. But it has also made sure that a lot of people that were innocently accused of things didn't have to go to jail.
Go ahead and say that again for the people in the back, because I got to go get my paperwork cleaned up on February 9th. I'll just let y'all know.
So one day I got a call, about 3 years ago, I got a call from a gentleman. I put my hand over the phone and said to my wife, "Oh, he speaks English." So that was a good sign. And he said he wanted to build a track in Detroit for the kids and leave a legacy for the sport and see if we can't do something fun. So he was a gentleman who had made his income from the auto industry, and his family had. And he said, "I'll fund it. You make it work." The mission statement we have is to provide fitness and sporting opportunities for area residents with a focus on youth and seniors. So all our programming for kids is free, 17 and under.
That's the best thing.
That's amazing.
Then we have senior walking programs. So we're pretty happy. We have a nice little. We do a live streaming. We have a nice video up there now on our website.
Yes, it's hilarious.
is fun.
Please go check it out.
Yeah, please go check it out.
Go to Facebook and go to Lexus Velodrome.
Right, check out the latest ad because
Right,
it is nice.
WWF, Superman, and some of my pro riders.
Right, it's amazing.
Yeah, we'll definitely drop the link on that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We want everybody to come out and check it out. It's a great thing. When you go down there and you see the young kids, like the grade school kids, and they're on their little track bikes, and at first they're like, all right, there's no brakes. Like, what do I do? And they start to move and they start to get around the track and they get a little bit higher up and they get a little bit higher up and they get a little bit higher up and they come off that track with a grin on their face that like you can't wash that off.
Right, yep.
You know what I mean? That's a permagrin. Like that's
Yes,
gonna
it
last.
is.
Well, our youngest rider's been 5 years old, but mostly it's 10 to 12-year-olds
Okay.
to have enough power to go that 15 miles an hour minimum speed. Our oldest is 81 years old, and
Yeah.
he comes out 6 months ago. He never saw a track in his life. Came into the building and said, "Do you think I could do this?" And I says, "Well, let me work with you." And at first, he could only do like a lap and a half. Now he comes out 3-4 days a week, and he does 150 to 250 laps.
81 years
81
old.
years old.
Out there crushing it.
It is never too late.
Rushing it. No.
Right. There's no excuse for you. If you are listening right now to a podcast, there's no excuse. You can get up and go down to the velodrome and they will put you up.
Yep.
So upcoming, we've got some fun things coming up. We've
Yes, please do
got
tell.
some races, our Saturday night rumbles, we call them. Those are sort of regional, local and regional races. Then once a month, we have a big race. The next one is February 15th and 16th and 17th. On 15th and 16th, we're having a big race. We'll give away about $5,000 in prizes.
Oh, man.
We'll have riders from all over the country. And then on the 16th and 17th, we're going to have a bike show. So we've got about 20 bike shops that are coming down.
Fantastic.
We're going to have the first human power pursuit race between two human power vehicles on the track.
Oh.
A 2 mile challenge.
Okay, I saw a little bit of the video when Joaquin was riding the one of them around the track, and he just said he didn't exactly fit into the cockpit, but like if you did, what do you get up to, about 30 miles an hour?
I think he got about 37. I think. he
Yeah.
said.
Okay. So I mean, you're talking about like high rates of speed are going to go down. So that's going to be exciting.
Our pro riders get up to about 43, 44 miles an
My
hour.
goodness.
Yeah, I get tired watching them.
Yeah.
At 43.
No, they're moving pretty good around that track.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is a sight. Like you can watch video, obviously on their website. Also on PBS, because I've seen it on PBS before,
Right.
which is pretty cool. You're just randomly channel surfing and you're like, oh, some velodrome racing on PBS.
Right.
Yes, I'm going to sit here and watch this for a
Yeah,
while.
right.
So that's always a welcome sight. The building itself, from seeing it in some of the early phases, of actually like no machines. No, this is all hand built. Like gentlemen are there carrying, these big slabs of wood planks onto the metal track that's been built.
Right.
Seeing that skeleton early on, it's nothing that I've ever seen before,
Right.
and to have it here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like to have it to be ours.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I mean, it's not ours, but it's ours.
No, I think it is ours.
It's ours.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Our goal is to try to see if we can't get some kids that never saw a velodrome in their life, didn't even know what the word was, to see how far we can get them.
Sure.
Yeah.
If they just get for fitness, that's a win.
Right.
But we know that we've got some wonderful engines, and I look at out there as we've got the engines, and now we have the facility, we've got the coaching, so and it's free. So we just need, if you got some kids out there, especially in the 12 to 17 age, bring them down.
I do know some.
There's full college rides that are available. I've gotten about a half dozen kids that have gotten college scholarships in track cycling.
Fantastic.
So let's get them out there.
I had to go to the college that would take me. Like the last college. They were like, yeah, maybe. So that's nice. So what's the young talent coming out of the track right now? What are some names we should look for coming up?
Well, the Capella brothers, Jimmy and Jackson, are certainly in the forefront of some young guys, 16 and 14-year-olds.
Okay.
We're going to take, last year we took 9 kids to the national championships were held in Pennsylvania last year. We got a silver, a bronze, and a couple of top 10s.
nice.
Wow.
This next year it's out in L.A. We're hoping to take somewhere in the 15 to 25 kids out there. And we've got the funding to make it so we can pay their airfare and those kind of things. So if we can find some kids that want to get dedicated to really train, because there's a lot of riders around the country that are serious about racing.
Right.
So that actually brings up a question I had. Are successful cyclists, are they born or are they trained, or is it a combination of both?
Well, I think the extraordinary athletes are born with a capacity that is just higher than anybody, and they could probably do several different sports and excel in it.
Okay.
So I think there's a capacity that you're born with. That will favor some people over others. Mm-hmm. Now, if you get two people that with a pretty same capacity, then it's a matter of desire and training and what they really want to get out of it. Mm-hmm. But cycling is we've proven it's a lifetime sport. You can do it when you're 5 years old, and you can keep on doing it when you're 81. So even though you might not hit as high up as you'd want to get. But when we took the kids out to Pennsylvania, two of them hadn't been out of Michigan. And I suspect that when we go to California, there's going to be several of those kids that have never been on an airplane before.
Sure.
So I think there's some life experiences.
Yes.
And
through cycling.
Through cycling, and I think the thing about cycling is, unlike four guys can get together with a basketball and have some fun shooting hoops and playing a little game. Mm-hmm. Cycling, you sort of have to do your dues of getting some fitness level before it becomes fun, which is a challenge. But that's true. That's the same with that's the same with other sports. I mean, you can't be much of a runner at first if all you can run is a block.
Right. There's got to be some
so you've got to put some effort behind it. But it is something that people are doing as a lifetime.
Yes.
Because there's racing. I think, we took, I think we had about 7 or 8 riders that were what we call masters, 35 plus, going to the national championships.
Oh, man.
Because there's nationals for every age group.
Sure.
Okay. We have a 10-year-old that's be racing an 11, 12-year-old this year. She is phenomenal. I'd say she's got a good shot at winning a national title for her age group. We've got a 12-year-old boy. He'll be 13, so he'll be racing 13, 14. He's definitely going to be in the hunt for podiums.
Okay.
So
representing Detroit.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Detroit, young talent coming out of the city.
There's many more kids out there we know.
Right.
So get them down there to.
Well, you go back to Mike Walden when he coached it. He at one time had 3 women, 2 from Detroit, 1 from Flint. They were world champions on the track, world gold medalists, one of the 3 for 10 years. For 10 years, one of the 3 girls, women, were world champions. He produced over 125 national champions.
Wow.
He produced 2 Tour de France riders. Frank Andreu, who almost won the last final stage of the Tour de France.
Right.
He also trained Jeff Pierce, who did win the final stage of the Tour de France.
Wow.
Right.
So there's a lot of history here.
Lots.
I have to say that because my wife might be listening.
Well, we hope she is. That's
yes.
He was a real bugger, actually.
Detroit ByCycle. Tell your friends.
So I invite everybody out to come. I think the point you were making is you can see the videos and you can see pictures.
It's not the
but
same.
It's not the same when you go down there. And I invite people to go down the stairs and go into the infield, but then come back out and walk in the sky walkway around. Because when you see it from the top down, all of a sudden that 50 degrees saying, it looked pretty steep from the inside, but man, it is really quite steep.
It's really steep when you're on the track. Like when you finally get brave enough to move your head and you look down and the concrete's over your ear and you're like, oh, I better pick it up. I really better go faster here. So what can people do? We got people that are listening to the podcast. What can people do to help facilitate what you got going on? What can the public do to help the Lexus Velodrome and the programs you have available?
I really think the best thing is people can do is bring down their kids, their grandkids, their nieces, their nephews.
Okay. Check it out.
Check it out.
Okay.
If you're a school teacher, let's do a field trip. If you're involved with a school, let's do some field trips. If you were the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, let's get some troops down there. We've got the bikes, the helmets, the shoes, the equipment.
All available.
And again, that's what our mission statement is, and it's free.
Free.
So it's a matter of
Keyword.
getting down there.
Right. Hey.
FR.
Right. During the shutdown, that's free.
Right. Yes. Well, before we let you go, I'm springing something on everybody.
Okay, so here we go. Let's see what you got here.
I'm okay with a hug, but nothing more. Okay?
Well, you'll get those.
That's Henry Ford, man. You're going to get a whole lot of, that's like a hug and a half.
So I've had this for years, and it actually came from the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta.
You're right.
Will you sign this for me?
I absolutely would.
I would
No problem.
love that, and I think this will be something this show will always cherish as you being our very first in-house guest and us trying to really make a difference as you have around here.
I appreciate it.
We're just trying to,
cool.
we're trying to step up and be on that, that Dale Hughes level we're never going to get there.
Well, it'll take a few years.
Right. It's going to take a while, but
I'll give you a couple weeks. Okay, guys?
that's my man, Dale Hughes, guys.
Yes.
You want to, we had some rapid fire questions you wanted to throw at Mr.
quick,
Hughes before he leaves real quick?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a reoccurring event with all of our guests. We've got quick questions that we want our guests to answer with short, quick answers. And we Bruno is actually going to be timing us, so he's going to keep you on point.
Okay, I'm ready.
Your first bike.
The first bike I can remember was a J.C. Higgins 3-speed, bought at Sears.
Nice. Your favorite ride?
Well, it was a time trial up in Pinnaball, which is up north. That's really where I met my wife in a real way.
Nice. So generally we would ask what brought you back to cycling, but you have never left cycling.
Right. That's the dream.
I must admit, I've been my wife says, you talk about a guy with a singular focus. I have had that. And the crux of it is because of the one game we play, which is called the Madison, which is the relay race, which is really what it's all about for me.
Fantastic. Describe your blank.
My wife is really beautiful.
Smart. Learn, fella.
My man from Amsterdam, right here in the house. Look.
And
Can we let's just take a moment, man. Let's just take a moment of silence for the genius.
final question. Sorry. Oh, one wish for Detroit.
One wish. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I think actually we have so many of the facilities that one day we could actually host the Olympic Games.
Wow.
You heard it here first, folks.
Right. From a man who knows about the Olympic Games, right?
Well, you think about it. We have so many world-class facilities. You know, Little Caesars, we've got football fields, we've got soccer fields.
Close proximity.
All within everything. We really wouldn't have to build too many more facilities.
And hotels.
And who would have thought? I mean, everybody would have laughed at us 10 years ago if we would have said Detroit.
Yeah.
But now, we've got a vibe that's pretty cool around the world. You know?
Right.
I used to travel, and when I traveled, somebody sit next to me on an airplane, they say, where you live? And I said, Detroit. You hear them go, oh.
They grab their purse a little
and
closer.
then I'd say, where do you live? And they said, California. I says, oh, where there's mudslides and fires and earthquakes and pollution? Is that where you want to live?
Just stay in California. We'll hold this down. We got this. Right. Well, I just want to say for the show and for myself and Bobby and Henry, it's just been a pleasure to absolutely have you in here. Thank you very much for coming down and giving us what is your valuable time, and I really do appreciate it, Dale.
I very much appreciate you guys. Glad what you're doing. I think it's a good thing. I think we're spreading the gospel, and
we try.
And again, go to Facebook for Lexus Velodrome or LexusVelodrome.com. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The great Dale Hughes. All right, we got Bruno up next with the Chop Shop. Bruno, always in the streets. Bruno, where were you this past week?
All right, so this past week I was down at Metropolis Bike Shop, and they're located in Corktown, just down the block from the Mercury Bar and Roosevelt, the Roosevelt Park and whatnot. And it's a great location. Yep. And I was down there and I talked to Shane and Ted, and this is what we talked about, man. Please enjoy.
All right, so your role model, Shane.
I wasn't like born into bikes. I didn't even choose it.
Welcome to Corktown.
Yeah. Because my car got stolen a couple times. And I was, back then the unemployment rate in Detroit was like over 50%.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
and I couldn't get a job anywhere, and I was just kind of forced into, the bicycle was my way to get around and stuff like that. And I found back alley bikes, and one of the I don't know, like leaders over there was this dude, Jack Van Dyke, and he was kind of coming at bikes from a, I don't know, like from like an intellectual side and like an aesthetic side.
Okay.
I was interested in the idea of the bike as well as like the shape of bicycles.
Right.
But I mean, if you can learn how to fix a bike, it just like unlocks so many other doors.
Right.
Suddenly you realize the whole world is made out of nuts and bolts, and like everything
fits together, and there's
everything
harmony.
is either like screwed or glued together, and then a lot of things, the whole world just becomes easier to figure out.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
And I just love like the transportation side of it. Like, we don't really need cars or buses or trains. Like, you can ride your fucking bike to Chile or wherever.
Right.
If you really
Yeah,
want
you
to.
could.
Right. And you can use the bike to just get out of your situation. We
Right.
like worked with lots of kids who are like coming up in some like not good situations.
Right.
And it was awesome to be like, dude, you can leave this place and never come back.
Right. Get on a bike.
So I was like really, really inspired by that. By Jack. Also, this dude Sheldon Brown is just kind of I don't know. He's got this like bicycle glossary website that's like impossible.
I would go as far as saying cycling legend.
Cycling legend.
Yeah.
Sheldon Brown, the late
Yeah.
Sheldon Brown. But I learned tons of stuff just from going home at night after my bar job and just trying to read this entire website for hours.
Okay.
And also, like, a person with, like, who's not exactly swallowing what's, like, crammed into the bicycle world by the industry.
Okay.
Here's a person who's just, like, really taking it apart and poking little holes in the, I don't know, just in the, just like the bike industry, like, narrative.
Okay. Yeah, that's exciting. All right, so you're great mechanics. What's the key? What's it take to be a good mechanic? If someone was coming up, if a young man came into the shop and said, "Hey, I'd like to be a mechanic," what are you going to tell him?
Well, I don't know. It's a tricky question because there is definitely some just like natural inclination to being a good mechanic. You're good with your hands.
Right. You have like spatial knowledge and
spatial
stuff.
knowledge. I grew up in a household that we built and played with everything. My parents were set designers. Like we just always were hands on, right?
Correct.
So like moving into bike world was not that crazy for me as a kid.
Right.
And then I started so young.
And you just focus that talent in a single area.
Yeah. But I mean, I would say the biggest key that keeps me going is always the strive for more. So I mean, the technology changes so fast, and there's so much crazy new stuff that it's hard to keep up with.
Okay.
I still to this day, after almost 20 years doing it, do like what Shane used to do. I'd go home and peruse through the SRAM website and read about new tech and all this crazy
right,
stuff.
Right, so good bike porn.
It's always...
Yeah, SRAM is a nice spot to go to.
It's always the best spot to go to. Are you kidding me?
I like
just make sure you put it on incognito mode.
Yeah, right.
right. There you go.
So I would always say, never think you know everything.
Okay.
Cause
always be open to learning the next thing.
Open. I mean, I'm always blown away. I try something, a customer comes in, is like, tubeless setups is a great one. I've been experimenting a lot with different tubeless fluids and valve technology and all, it's all very finicky stuff, and it's not quite all as foolproof as they like to claim it is. And had a customer come in and brought his own fluid and was like, try this stuff out. I've never tried it. It works amazing. It's, the new orange feels winter stuff.
Okay.
And that's just stuff that happens to me every week.
Right. I mean, for as simple as they are, there's a couple wheels, there's a frame,
it's intensely complex. Me and Shane had like an hour and a half long conversation.
It gets intensely, as soon as you start to take it apart, it becomes very...
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, it becomes very complicated.
Yeah, me and Shane just earlier today had an hour and a half long conversation on headset sizing.
Nice.
It's insane.
That is awesome. What did you decide?
There's way too many of them.
Yeah.
Well, we were just kind of trying to figure out, like, what is if someone just brings in a random bike and it's like, my headset's broken, there's probably 150 different headset combinations and variations out there. So, like, how do you actually figure that out quickly and efficiently, as a service right up in the shop type of thing?
Right.
So that's what we were talking about, trying to figure out, which is tricky.
And, like, each company has their own, like, nomenclature.
Right.
So
the knowledge depth is massive. So yeah, I mean, if you really want to be like a top-notch mechanic, you need to push yourself really hard to
stay on top of all the changes in the industry.
Yeah,
and in addition to what's already happened.
Oh yeah,
going back to the 50s.
You have a mountain of weird stuff that you have to remember, and a lot of it's dead technology now. So like, we pride ourselves that we know a lot of, like, Shane and Brad know a lot more about vintage stuff than I do. I know a lot more about the new contemporary stuff. But, like, knowing the fact that, there's crazy different threaded bottom brackets out there, and, French stuff is always throwing you off. And, the knowledge base is insane.
All right, so what advice do you have for new or young riders?
I think some of my advice for new riders is just don't assume that people can see you.
Yeah.
And also just don't assume that you can see everything. I think, and just being visible, having good lights, wear a helmet. I don't know. The thing with visibility is that cars are just 2 tons of metal and glass, like, flying a zillion miles an hour, and they're all the same exact color as the road or the snow or the sky. So a lot of times, even during just like dusk hours when everybody doesn't have their headlights on, like, a lot of cars just like blend into the background of the road and sky.
Right.
I think, just pump up your tires every day.
Yeah.
Just pump them up. A lot of people who are new riders, they haven't invested in flat resistant Kevlar tires or whatever yet. So the best way to stay motivated is to just have a working bicycle, and the easiest and best thing you can do is just put air in your tires every day.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Safety is key.
Yeah. Because if you're not safe, what are you really doing out there?
Yeah, I mean, in the urban environment nowadays with cell phones glued to everybody's hands, it's definitely getting worse. We see a lot more crashes and injuries flowing through our shop.
We see a lot of crashes right in front of the store.
Yeah, these new protected bike lanes are a hit or miss scenario.
Right, because you can get right-handed.
Oh, you can get right-handed real hard.
You get right-handed, and you also doored.
Yeah, doored by a passenger.
Getting doored by a passenger, that's a new game.
Yeah, you think the driver's not looking for cyclists, the passenger's definitely not cyclists.
Right, they're trying to get where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
So that's great. Let's just wrap this up real quick. Couple quick questions. What's the best bike build you ever did? What's the coolest bike you ever built?
Surly Krampus.
Well,
with I-9 wheel set. Train Eagle. Oh,
nice.
I'll ride that every day.
Mine was a 1972 Zeus track bike. It's like a Spanish bicycle manufacturer. They turned into Orbea eventually.
Oh yeah, right.
But yeah, that was like the first from the frame up high-end bike that I ever built. First wheel set I ever built.
What color was it?
It was like the sky blue, and it had like cool rainbow UCI racing, like little rainbow flag stickers on there.
Right. Like world championships.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. If you had to describe your riding style, what would it be?
I'm a commuter. I'm just riding to work, going to the grocery store, handling my business.
That's a lifestyle.
I'm looking for comfy, like bomb-proof tires and wheels. I got a 1x10 drivetrain. Keeps it simple. I basically never change gears.
Right.
If it's really windy, I will.
Yeah, that's what I find in Detroit. Like with it.
And then I'm looking for a bike that is my commuter, but I can just like peace out and leave town and go ride to Ann Arbor or light touring.
So what's the deal, okay? What's your riding style?
I'd go with random, maybe.
Random.
Do whatever I'm feeling that day.
Okay.
Yeah, I commute. I don't own a car, so commute every single day, commute everything I need to do, grocery store and everything. Training for a lot of gravel racing this coming spring, so a lot of time on my gravel bike, finding weird places in the city, putting in some miles.
Right. So where's your favorite place to ride? Like if we're talking to people in the Detroit area, where do you like to ride?
Belle Isle it's a loop, and it's 5 mile loop, and sometimes it gets boring, but man, it's beautiful out there. I love it.
Yeah,
it's
I like
stunning.
that.
If you're looking for something a little longer, Heinz Drive up to Ann Arbor Trail, getting you out to like Canton, Ann Arbor area,
Okay.
It's a nice way to get some like long, good miles out.
Right. And out there, you can be you can be away from traffic.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing.
Isolated from traffic.
All these things I'm saying are isolated from traffic.
Yeah, right. Being away from traffic definitely helps. Right, because then you really can just concentrate on the actual cycling and your heart rate, feeling the bike. And
well, I mean, that's also my commute. I live outside of Eastern Market, and I could ride straight here in like 2 miles.
Right.
Or what I normally do is take the Dequinter cut down to the riverfront over to Corktown, and I'm on public streets for quarter mile.
Metropolis Cycles.
Right.
And on, bike path, isolated from traffic for the rest of it.
Right.
All right, so that's my conversation with the people from Metropolis, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you go down and check them out because
it's a great shop.
It's a great shop, man. We've they got everything you need, and they're going to take care of you, and it's not going to be a problem. They're not going to be like, no, we don't.
No.
You know what I mean?
They throw pretty good parties there too.
Yes, they do.
I am going to have to concur that on several occasions I did party in that particular bike shop.
You definitely have to keep them on your radar.
Right,
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Right. So thank you very much. All right, so we traditionally have been doing this. We have, last week we did this thing called 3 Things, and we seem to like it. Other people seem to like it, so we're going to keep it going. And so we decided we would talk about 3 ways to kind of stay in shape over the winter. Now we understand shape is, round is a shape. You know what I'm saying? Round is a shape. So, what is it you up to, Bobby? What's Bobby doing in the winter to stay in shape?
Well, it's winter time. It's cold out. Not everybody's like so jazzed up to get out and actually pull their bike out. Even though you did the ABCs and you want to get out here in the streets and see how you're performing, you might not feel it. You just might not.
Some days aren't for that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So there are several things you can definitely do, indoors to help keep your motivation going throughout the winter. Keep those juices flowing, keep the seasonal depression down. And for me, sometimes it's just as simple as doing regular calisthenics. It could be your push-ups, your sit-ups, your lunges, something just to keep the heart going, easy to do indoors. You don't need any equipment for, you don't need to run out and grab anything. No.
Your own
push
body
up,
weight.
your own body weight. That's it. Just stick to it. We all have some weight to move around. Let's move it around. However you do it. If it's not going to be on 2 wheels, then hey, get on the ground and just push it up.
Can we say that?
Yes, you can get on the ground and push it up. Okay. I didn't say push it out. I said push it up.
Hey.
But yes, easy calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups, lunges, some jumping jacks in there.
Right, just get your heart rate up for about 20 minutes.
Just get your heart rate up, get it moving.
Right.
The Netflix will definitely keep playing as you continue to do the push-ups, sit-ups, and lunges. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
So simple. The KISS method. Keep it simple. You don't need to run out, buy a bunch of weights and all this stuff that will just end up being your clothes rack later on down the line. Just do the simple stuff, the stuff we all know.
Right. That seems to be working for you, so that's nice.
Yeah.
So what's up, Henry? What you doing?
Well, man, so I really took this objective seriously this year.
Whoa.
Yeah, even prior to our segment here.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought since we show prepped.
Right, Well, I got tired of the yo-yo weight loss in season and put it right back on over the holidays. So this year I ain't getting no younger. None of us are.
No.
I want to.
Who you telling?
Right. So I really took some initiative and really focused on my diet through off season where I'm not riding as much. I'm really working on lowering my sugar intake and my sodium levels. As a start, there's much more to go.
Right.
To keep it going. It's always an effort to work with your diet.
Right, but you look good.
Trying.
I gotta say, I gotta be honest, man.
Well, in conjunction with that, though, I've also hired a trainer.
Oh, snap.
And
Hollywood out here.
And they got me to the gym.
Okay.
So, my trainer, she actually provides, in-gym workouts as well as, real similar to, Bobby's, program at home. So I can use my own body weight as well. So she's provided a program, and as long as I just put on my workout clothes and get there, that's the hardest part.
That's always the hardest part.
Right,
Getting to the
part.
gym.
Just get there. That's the hard part. That really is the hard part.
That is.
So, I've really committed myself not to, gain 30 more pounds like I do every off season.
Right.
And just try to keep it off and just get lean and get better and more healthier.
Yeah, the problem I find, cause I'm the oldest one in the room right now. The problem I find is I'll put the weight on, and in April I can have it gone. And then when I got older, it was May. You know what I mean? By June, you know what I'm saying? I still got weight from a couple years ago. But what I like to do, I like to swim. You know what I mean? It's quiet. Mm-hmm. It's individual.
Mm-hmm. Another low impact.
Low impact. Yeah. I'm not tearing up my joints. And it gives me time to gather my thoughts.
Sure.
You're staring at the bottom of a pool. What else you going to do? Mm-hmm. And you just do it and do it and do it. And then when you're done, you leave. And you've worked out, and it's a beautiful workout. I also like to stretch a lot.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Stretching is key.
Dude, when I was a kid and you would be at sports, whatever the sport was, and they would be stretching, and you were like, can't we just go do the sport?
Not even care.
Why am I stretching? Right. I'm 9. Right. You have any idea what I can do? You know what I mean? And now I'm I wish I would have stretched.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right? I mean, I'm not talking about goat yoga. But
No.
Did I tell you about the time I got kicked out of yoga? Dude,
Do we have time for that?
Dude, we do now. Okay. Dude, I got kicked out of a yoga class. I got asked to not return to a yoga class.
Only Bruno.
No, not only. Well, yeah, it was only.
Yes, only Bruno.
I was in class. And I was really doing the stuff. I was really feeling it. I was stretching, and we're downward facing dog and all that stuff. And I was in. And this lady had flagellants.
All right,
See?
it's natural.
Right, I agree. It's natural. But it's also natural for me to go, right? And then they call me, and the lady pulled me to the side after, and she's like, maybe this isn't for you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, you can't really embarrass somebody. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass anybody, but I snickered a little bit. I'm sorry. And so no more yoga. And the last thing, I know, not every day is the day you can get out and ride.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But if you can, that one day that the sun's out, it might be a little bit cold, but that one day that the sun's out, go out and spin your bike. Go out and get there, and that'll remind you why you're doing all these other things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It keeps you grounded.
Excellent idea.
You know what I mean? The other day, it was beautiful and sunny. I was out riding. I'm like, you know what? All these sacrifices make sense. So I'm not coming back in the spring overweight and can't hang up. Can't hang with the fellas when we're trying to go do what we do. Right. Ride, places on 2 wheels. So.
And even, to speak on Bruno's, even if, you're thinking mileage, okay, somebody says I need to ride 30 miles. Doesn't mean you have to go 30 miles away from the house. It could literally just be a 30-mile, 1 mile loop around your neighborhood just to build up endurance. It's
right.
We're not trying to win a race. It's for you. So if to stay close to the house helps you, then download whatever app you choose that's going to keep track of your mileage, go around the block, see what that is, do some math. You know how many times you figure it out.
Yeah. Right, you can figure it out.
Nobody said you need to go 30 miles directly away from the house.
Right. 15 out and back.
No.
And that'll be discouraging. That would discourage you.
Yes.
The most important thing is just to get up and do it.
Move it.
Move.
Yes. Yeah, move something.
If you don't move and use it, you will lose it.
Definitely will.
So that's our 3 ways we stay in shape over the winter.
Thanks.
All right. Now, for our calendar segment of our show, I'd like to actually add a couple to our list of guys that we mentioned that are hardcore because they ride all year. Well, there's 2 groups that you need to pay attention to if you do want to ride all year. You can check them out on Facebook. The first group is out of the hub of Detroit. Andre leads a ride every Wednesday night. He usually does about 15 or 20 miles at about 15 plus average pace. There's also out of Dearborn, Tracy, Bike Dearborn. She does a Wednesday ride as well in and around the city of Dearborn. You can again check your Facebook listing for both of those events that happen to be going on all year and on Wednesday evening. Now, to a good friend of mine, Lisa. She is the lead for Mogo bike share bikes, and they are actually having an event that is coming up on February the 2nd. It's actually...
Yeah, that's at Detroit SIP.
I'm sorry, not the 2nd.
That's the 7th,
I'm pushing
right?
it. No, it's January 31st.
January 31st.
I pushed it a little bit too early.
Okay.
It's actually, right. You're right. At Detroit SIP.
Yeah, that's on
Correct.
McNichols. Right, between
the new
Marygrove.
spot. Yeah.
Between
The
McNichols.
coffee spot, right?
Coffee spot.
Yeah.
Between McNichols, between Marygrove and Detroit Mercy.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, that's on the north side, though. It's on the other side from the school. Right,
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about, bro.
Yep.
It's University?
Yeah, University District.
Yeah, it's
right up
it's
the street from University District.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right, if you know, you know.
Y'all know where that Mickey D's is.
Act like you don't know.
6 Mile, Illinois.
It's Nikki D's.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
It is. It is Nikki
It
D's.
is Nikki D's and a Mickey D's. But check out the Nikki D's.
Yeah,
but it's up the street from the Nikki D's.
Right.
So that's at 7420 West McNichols, to be specific. Well, Lisa and her crew at Mogo are coming to the community because they want to expand their Mogo bike share program. And they wish that you join them for a conversation. And they want your input on where you would like to see these
Right.
stands.
They got like I read recently they have 430 bikes out there in like 10 stations.
Correct.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Mogo-
and they're just
Mogo's
looking. They're
been
really looking for community input where to put the next couple of stations. That's all
they
they're
want
looking
to
for.
expand. They want
They're
the
not trying
opportunity.
to. They don't want anything from you.
No.
No.
not
They
at
just
all.
want to know where can we help you with some bikes.
So it's about the community and where do you think these bikes will be most effective. So it's on the 31st between the 6 p.m. and 7:30.
We also have in Clinton Township, February 2nd, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Please join the Cramba for the annual Cramba. It's Cold Out Fat Tire and Snow Bike Festival. They will have group rides, fat bike demos, bonfires, chili, tasty beverages with 100 of your fellow fat bike riders. It's a potluck style event, so please bring food, snacks, and other drinks to share. But this is the Cramba Fat Tire and Snow Bike Festival, February 2nd from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's also our bike club brothers in arms, the Midnight Marauders. They are still riding out here in the midnights. They leave from Checker Bar. Marauding. February 7th, they leave from Checker Bar they meet up at 10, leave promptly at 11.
They meet up around 8. Let's be honest. They do leave around 11, but they meet up a little bit early. You can have a cheeseburger if you'd like.
Yes, please come down to Checker Bar, have a cheeseburger.
Right.
They meet up like Bruno said, 8 to 10. During the winter, they do take it easy, so it's not a crazy breakneck speed. They want everybody to come out. And also the Velodrome, as Dale said, February 2nd, February 9th, the Rumble Series. Come check out the Lexus Velodrome, Mac and I-75. You won't believe it. Thank you all.
And just in case you forgot what we're about, the love, benefit, art, events, food, culture, and all you lovely people we meet because of bikes. From here in our Motor City, Detroit, and beyond.